Good morning, everyone. 11 o'clock here on the East Coast. It is another episode of Meet the Experts. My name is Jay Vix. I run I do a bunch of things actually, but I run howto.agency, which is a small business tips, tutorials, resources, and coaching blog, as well as a digital agency. And of course, this podcast, as well as a few other things. It is, I don't even know what day it is. It's Tuesday. It's September 13th. And I'm excited about today's episode. I'm excited about every episode. And I know I say that at the beginning. Today's episode is really cool because my guest, Justin, is somebody who unknowingly taught me a lot about conversion rate optimization when I was getting certified through the Digital Marketer suite of certifications back in 2016. And little did I know that, fast forward a few years, he and I would get to know each other a little better as people. And so over the last few months, we've really connected, and I'm excited to begin using his services. And I can't wait for him to tell you all about those services. So without further ado, let me bring Justin Rondeau up onto the screen. Good morning, Justin.
Hey, Jay, how's it going, man?
It's going great. I was really thrilled to do this episode just because I view you for 6 years as just like this really smart wealth of knowledge. And when you said that you'd like to be a guest, I was like, well, that is an awesome guest. And it's a little outside the norm of what we typically do, which is, just local brick and mortar businesses or local service businesses or nonprofits. But I feel like what you're offering is such a valuable, tremendous service. So I can't wait to talk to you about that today.
Oh no, thanks, man. Like, I'm glad you were able to find a nice hook and make an exception there. Super appreciate that. Excited to be here.
Cool. Well, let's talk about you. How long have you been doing what you're doing, and what exactly is it that you're doing?
I think that's the question I've always been trying to explain to my mom for, the last 14, 15 years that I've been doing this whole digital marketing thing. But specifically for Invisible PPC, the company's been around for over 10 years, and we've been working with agencies that serve local businesses for that period of time. Myself and my business partner ended up acquiring it back in November, and have been just working on the growth engine there, and then building up the company, making it streamlined a little bit more, and then really just kind of bringing it to the masses. Like, IPPC's been kind of the player for quite a while. But there's a lot of people in the white label game, and then a lot of people who don't know what the white label game even is, which we can talk about a little bit more today. But our whole thing is to make sure that we want agencies to be able to thrive and to be able to grow and make revenue, make cash, and those things without having to be, full-blown experts on things. Because the fact of the matter is, and I think you'd agree with this, most full service agencies are kind of they're kind of full of it. You can be really good at a few things. You can't be really good at everything. And that's why, companies like ours exist.
I love that. And it resonated with me, obviously, because while I say, I'm pretty good. I can run some Google ad campaigns. I can probably get you pretty decent results. It's not where I go deep, right? It's not where my area of expertise is. So the fact that a company like yours exists to help agencies help their clients without them having to learn a whole new skill set or continue to spend time in an ever-changing landscape. You guys kind of stay on top of that. I think it's very cool. With this career, though, it was a bit of a change. So I know, how did you get into more of the pay-per-click from where I previously knew you as just like conversion rate optimization?
Yeah. So, conversion rate optimization is always an extension of any type of marketing, whether it be email marketing, pay-per-click, really whatever you're doing, because you focus on everything post-click, right? And I had some amazing partners back in the day, that were really working through the acquisition side of things, that really understood everything up to the click, right? So that's always a really great partnership when you're a CRO person, for sure. That's one area that, again, where I personally, my strengths were never in the acquisition side of things. And that's why, I think with this company in particular, what made me so excited about it, to come on board and really kind of dig in and help grow this thing, was because it would have been my crutch. It would have been the company I would be using if I was running my own agency. Because once I have somebody converted, I know it, or once I have somebody on my list, or once they've gotten to the ad, I know I can take care of them after the fact. Like when it comes from email marketing, CRO, and those things, I've always known that. So I would always be looking for this type of partner. And if I had ever been that like solo agency or small agency, I would need somebody to help me out, because email won't fix everything. CRO won't fix everything if you don't have this piece of the puzzle figured out. I mean, all businesses want more traffic. All businesses want more conversions. And I'm very strong on the conversion side, but you're not going to be seeing boosts in conversions if you aren't growing traffic. So that was where kind of the pivot came from. And then additionally, like as my, like I was very a hyper focused individual contributor for most of my career, where I was digging into, for the first half of it at least, where I was doing all of the landing page work. I was doing all the data analytics. I was building trainings to teach people how to do that. And then I used to think optimization was the answer for everything. Like, oh, just run a test, do that. Or like I used to just think that's what it was. But then as you start kind of expanding out, and which is a lot of my time at digital marketers, like start as the CRO person, move into running the marketing department, run the company. Like you do that, you start seeing like, gosh, like there's a lot of stuff that I don't know that I don't know. And that you need to have hyper specific people like involved to get you the results that you're looking for. And everybody thinks that they can do it, and they can't. Like, be a specialist. It goes back to the T-shaped marketer type concept. Like, nobody is going to be that full block down. You can't be. And if you're trying to be, you're going to get really, really tired. You're going to get exhausted, and you're going to do even the stuff you're great at poorly because you're distracted. Right. So yeah, that's kind of how the whole transition kind of happened for me. Yeah.
I love it. And that was such an awesome answer, like a very in-depth answer. And you described where I was to a T, because in 2012, when I started my business, it was a side hustle. And I turned into this digital agency that was offering anything anybody wanted me to do. Like, can you do this? Yeah, I can do that. Can you do this? Yeah, I can do that. And my dad once told me, like, if you try to be a master at everything, you become a master of none, type of thing. So that really resonated. And it wasn't until just a few years ago when I realized I need to bring on companies, teams, partners, contractors, people who are specialists in what they do in order to grow my business, because I've got so many other hats to wear. I can't do it. So I'm so grateful you exist, for sure. So tell me about the types of clients that you work with. What does that look like?
Yeah. So, and again, this I think transitions quite well to folks like being hyper focused on something and being kind of like aware of like where you dance and where you don't. Right. And so the type of clients that we thrive with and we work best with are agencies serving local businesses. So if you're an agency that is niche specialized, like we're going to be doing some really great stuff together. Like people who are servicing law firms, like dentists, like HVAC folks, plumbers, the people that actually do this stuff, that know that they need more business and they want more business, but know that they can't hire somebody to actually grow the business. I mean, that's why they went to an agency in the first place. And so it's always an interesting turn in thought process, especially in the white label space. So for people who aren't familiar with white label services are an extension of your company, essentially. Like we're doing the work, we have the team, we build all that stuff out, and then the agency maintains the relationship with the client. It's like we're not there, right? As far as they know, you're doing the work. Thus, the name of the company. But where I think it gets interesting here in terms of like who we can work with and who we work best with, it's with those types of local firms. One, because like people who are in local spots like dentists, lawyers, and those things, like people are generally searching and they need a quick answer, right? And this is going to sound bad. You don't have to be the best. You just need to show up first in a lot of those cases, and then your work will prove it to you. But what's funny to me with agencies kind of like in this space, when they look at white label solutions, they're always in that mindset still of like, oh, I can do all this stuff. I should be able to do this. I should hire somebody to do this and this, that, and the other. But what they don't kind of make that switch on is like, hey, if the client realizes they have a hole in marketing that they can't hire for, and you have a hole in your skills and expertise that you likely shouldn't be hiring for, why wouldn't you just use an outsourced option? Why wouldn't you use an agency option? Because your client already did. If you're good enough for your client, some level of arm of white labeling services is going to be good enough for you, and not even good enough. It's going to be great for you and in turn your client, because that's just how it works. Like everybody uses some level of agency or outsourced work. All an agency is outsourced work. And I know like outsourced gets like a weird name, whatever, but that's all an agency is. It's talent that they don't employ that is going to deliver on a specific job. And that is fractal. You can keep doing that, right? So for me, yeah, it's we specialize with those types of agencies because they don't have like a full department in place, and they don't have a justification for a full department, right?
Sure.
The other thing we like to see outside of just like pure local service, so like pure like niche marketing firms, we like specialized marketing firms. So it doesn't need to be industry specific. It could be, hey, you're an SEO company. You're great at SEO. That's what you do. And now you have expansion opportunities, but you don't want to take on the overhead. We're a great partner for folks like that. And then the other side too is like anybody in that fractional CMO world where they're prescribing. So they're charging for digital sessions, then they're prescribing a solution. But like, what if they can't actually do the solution? Like I could do a customer value journey for anybody, but prior to, me having like being at Invisible PPC and getting better at this stuff, but also having a tool like Invisible PPC, the acquisition side, I'm screwed. I'm totally screwed. Like I could get everybody from Convert on. That sounds great, but I'm screwed at the big one. Right. Yeah. And understanding where your weaknesses are in these stages is what's going to dictate like who you should be partnering with. And you should absolutely be considering, like white label firms. You can get outsourcers and those things too, but like those can end up, those relationships, they're less, I guess there's less systems and structures around that. And that can be feast or famine for them and for you as well. So you want to partner with firms that, can one, handle the bandwidth, and two, get you the results. So yeah, that's that.
I'm so glad you said that. And you mentioned customer value journey. And of course, you and I speak the same language coming from the digital marketer arena. And that was a big reason why I really was interested in reaching out to you regarding some of my clients to use your pay-per-click agency. And I know it's Invisible PPC and it's white labeled, but I've told my clients like, hey, I'm partnering with a really great agency, and all they do is, paid ads. And if you think about what you said there, I'm going to do an analogy just to explain to the average business owner why it's so important and how because a lot of my clients came to me and they think I'm going to do everything. I'm going to be the person that's going to physically put my fingers on the keyboards. When my wife and I bought our house about 4 years ago, we needed a fence. We went to Lowe's, right? Lowe's doesn't install fences, right? They sell you the fence, and then a private contractor came out to the house that Lowe's vetted and worked with to install the fence, right? So I paid Lowe's paid them. I got my fence. Everybody wins. Everybody's happy. And it's exactly what you're doing. You're just doing it on this traffic side of the biggest part of what we call the customer value journey, which is awareness, making people aware of your brand, right?
Yeah, it's funny. My girlfriend, she's in she's a buyer for big old like company. That's what like in the grocery space, and she was telling her coworkers like what I do. Like her boss was like, hey, like what does your boyfriend do? And he's like, oh well, he has a white label PPC agency, and he's like, well, that's interesting, because he was thinking about white label as like when you're doing that with goods. So they have the service and you plop something on it. So he's like, I didn't think you could do that. That's a crazy idea. Like. It's not a new idea by any means, and white label has never been a new idea. Like there's across like whether you're in the grocery space, whether you're in software, like OEMing software, that is as old school as it gets, right? Great. Sure. Like so, it's existed forever. It's a tried and true methodology, because the fact is like people will sell certain things that they can't deliver on. Lowe's is a perfect example. Like they have the goods. They're not a service business, but other services can exist in those ways. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a great partnership, but it just makes sense, Well, cool. So if anybody's watching this or tuning in now live, or if you catch this later on the replay, after 11:30 today Eastern, feel free to just comment or like or share the video. But if you have any comments or questions, go ahead, throw those in the chat on whatever platform you're watching this on. I know we're on several Facebook channels right now. We're on LinkedIn Live. We're on YouTube Live. So if you have a question about traffic, pay-per-click, Google Ads. We'll do the best we can, and we'll make sure that Justin sees it if you catch us on the replay later, so that we can get any questions you have answered. But we'll continue on now. So tell me about, you've alluded to it a few times. Obviously, you can't fulfill it all yourself, so you have to have a team, right? Yep. So tell me a little bit about your team.
Yeah, cool. So like we kind of built everything out as like a pod structure. So you have like a lead account manager who is doing like the strategy, and they're interfacing with you or a member of your team. They're never interfacing with the client. Like you said too, it's like some folks like to say, hey, we've partnered with such and such company to do this, or with Invisible PPC to do this, because they've been doing it for a long time. They're the experts, blah, 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 blah. You can say all that, and other folks, they just let them go on their merry way and assume that they're the ones doing the work. And either way, there's I don't think there's a better or worse for those scenarios. I think that's more of a positioning argument and how you do it. So what ends up happening is, but even still, regardless of how you set it up, like if it's like, oh, we're working with them, or if you keep us hidden, we're still not going to talk to the client. Like, it's just, that's not what we do. So we have an account manager who then has a team underneath them. So that's where kind of like the pod starts happening, where you have the specialists, the auditors, and then the creatives that work underneath them. And that's what allows them to handle so many clients at a time. Like a single account manager pod can handle roughly, between like 60 and 70 accounts. Wow. Without seeing kind of a drop. We also, we're not meeting weekly with folks and doing those things. Like we meet ad hoc, and then we have, a monthly recap and meeting at the end. And like you have different options, but it's fairly low touch there. So it wouldn't work for like, if you're an agency that needs to, like, the business model wouldn't make sense if it was like every 2 days or every week we had to meet to do recaps or anything like that. But that's all, again, set up at the front, where you just set expectations, and there's been no issues there for since I've been here, and like for the entirety of the company. So right. It's been, as long, I think it goes back to always set the right expectations in the upfront, and then no one's going to have any problems after that. But yeah, we can grow and scale this thing really to the moon as demand comes in. The specialists in those groups, like, they'll be, they're the ones like tinkering and working in the account, doing the reactive optimizations as well as our proactive ones throughout the week. And then, then you have your single point of contact telling you like, hey, what's going on, how it's doing, and then what we're doing next, to make sure that you're able to relay that to the client. If you're not an expert, because that happens a lot too, especially if you're kind of taking the route of, hey, I want to sell this, but I don't want to do it. So you might not know the lingo. So if like a question comes in that you don't know, you just talk to your account manager, and they're like, hey, here's your answer. And they have to get back to you in a day on that one. So you'll get a pretty quick turnaround on those types of things. So
that's a great deliverable. I mean, 24-hour turnaround is great on that. One thing that I think it's probably good that we clarify for the average layman who's not in the digital space, that might just own a brick and mortar, when they hear a lot of terms get thrown around like PPC,
yes,
right, which we know is pay-per-click, which we know has to do with advertising. Tell us what platforms do you run these ads on?
Yeah, so we are a Google pay-per-click shop. That's what we do. We do have like extensions for like Bing, but not many people use that. There's some people like to add it for a competitive advantage, and sometimes it is, but I think your money can generally be well spent, especially in the local service space, on the Google side of things. And then, yeah, that's pretty much the setup. We also will do like large scale retargeting across like AdRoll's display network, on Facebook and Instagram as well. But that's an additional add-on that I'd say probably like, 20% of people take advantage of. And the fact is, like, most people don't need to, because they don't have the traffic requirements to do that stuff to see things pay off. We get asked a lot if we do Facebook. We don't. I remember this has been a hotly contested kind of like conversation that we have often, where it's like, well, we could essentially double our business if we offered it. But I don't want, and I'm cautious to do anything like that, because I want us to maintain and be the best in the world when it comes to Google PPC. That's what I want us to be. And the second you start adding in SEO or like Facebook or anything else, you start getting worse at what you're doing. Like an example of this, when I was in college, I was a philosophy major, so that's why I can talk so damn much. But I was studying Russian I don't know why. I just was. And I was in my intermediate class, and I was spending, probably like 3 hours a day studying Russian at that level to suck at it. Like to be unbelievably mediocre at best, spending all this time. And do you know what ended up happening? I started getting worse at the stuff I was good at because I couldn't focus and I couldn't train anymore. That is the beauty of these types of things, and admitting like where you need help, right? And then that is the real beauty about this, and knowing that you can trust somebody to deliver in for a specific thing is critical. Like, so when you see people like that say they can do everything, I'm always so wary of them. So wary, whether that's hiring an employee, whether that's like working with an agency. If they say they're great at everything, they're good at best at some.
Right.
So yeah.
Pick that. You're that was a perfect answer. And I lived it. I lived that. That was me for the first 7 years. I don't know how I look back at the fact that I've been in business almost 10 and a half years. And I'm like, how have I done this? Like for the first 7 years, how did I survive? Because I lost clients for sure because I wasn't able to deliver outstanding results. But since we've gotten more hyper-focused over the last few years, our results have really improved to the fact now where I used to be like, how are all these people getting case studies? And none of my case studies seem that good. And now we're working on 2 really great case studies, and it's staying focused. As a matter of fact, while you were talking about staying focused, a friend of ours chimed in to say, love it, stay focused and be the best. Don't let the greedy accountants expand your offering if it's not something you can kill it doing. Thanks, Mark.
Appreciate that one, Mark.
Absolutely. Mark DeGrasse, president of Digital Marketer right now. So that's nice that he's chiming in there. Well, cool. So we've got just a couple minutes left, just a couple more questions. We've kind of talked about this, but I just want to really recap it. So just tell our audience, what are a few of the common types of issues that you can really help with? And I would love it. I'm going to add a little to that question. I would love it if you go into those different aspects like creative, writing, management, tinkering, like some of that stuff, because those issues are important to be had within what you do.
Yeah. And I'm going to start vague and then get really specific. We help you with everything as far as it's Google ads related. Like we do everything. It is a soup to nuts shop. Like, and it's all included in your standard fees. So account currently exists. We dive in, see what was working before, what wasn't working before, because even though we have 10 years of, especially in 64 like specific niches, we have 10 years of data. So we know like we have a database of positive and negative keywords we can apply in there out of the gate. So if you have an account that didn't, like if it's a brand new account, you have an edge. If it's a current account, we can compare notes, right? So on top of that, we also have an archive of ad copy and landing page templates and landing page copy in place, because again, we've been doing this so dang long, where we're seeing on our conversion, like our landing pages, they convert anywhere between 30 and 40%, where a standard page, like, what a standard website converts at is 2 on average. And then a standard landing page, like standard, like median conversion rate is what you're expecting, is around 10-15%. So we can do significantly better with that budget there. But to go again, specific, we dive in, do all the analysis. We build all the campaigns. We don't work on any previous campaigns. We'll pause all those. Again, we'll still dig into them so we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But we will pause those, get our campaign set up. If it's in one of our smart niches, start applying those positive, negative keywords, and write all the ad copy. If we tailor any of our templates or write brand new copy right out of the gate to get those things going, we then set up all of your tracking so you don't have to worry about a thing. So if tracking's not your game, don't worry about it. We got you covered. We build you the landing page. So we do the design, the copy, everything. Make sure that's all focused. We have call tracking set up as well. So if you're looking for phone calls, we got you, and then you'll be able to set attribution correctly. We build you a real-time dashboard so that you can see everything that's going on. Sometimes the client just likes that for themselves. Sometimes they pass it on to clients. But as we all know, in this space, like, sending real-time data to clients can turn into a massive headache if they for the type of client they are. It depends. So, tread lightly there in those regards. And then we set up heat maps for initial launches on things to make sure nothing's funky that's going on. And if there is, we figure it out and we adapt, and we run split tests. So literally, once you sign with us, you're done. You're absolutely done on the Google PPC side of things. So
Right.
assuming like if you have other acquisition campaigns, you wouldn't be done with those, but you'd be done with these.
Quick follow-up question to that. And that was a brilliant answer. And that was exactly what I was hoping you would go into. And you did, and you nailed it. You mentioned earlier about retargeting and having that additional service through ad roll or Facebook or Instagram, or well, Facebook Meta.
Yeah.
Do you, in the campaigns, do you set up Google retargeting, like a retargeting audience within Google on those ads?
Yeah, that's a part of the standard service. So we have we call it omni retargeting, which would be like everything. So like that's where you get ad roll, Facebook, Instagram, and all those things. But for if it's just the Google retargeting network, that we set that up as well. And again, you're going to get some benefit from that only if you have the traffic that's necessary to do it, which a lot of local service companies don't, but more do than I think they think. So in our setup process as well, even if like somebody hasn't set up for like Omni, we add the ad roll pixel, assuming we get approval to do this, because just adding pixels willy-nilly to a site can be a big no-no. But we generally get that set up when people are like, give us the thumbs up, just because like when they're ready, there's no lag time, right? Similarly with like when you have the Google Pixel, the Google retargeting stuff's already kind of sorted, so you're pretty good there. But yeah, we'll run those retargeting campaigns are included in that.
Fantastic. Justin, this has been really good. I only have one more question for you. I do want to let people know that I am in the process of getting onboarded to have you guys run a lot of our pay-per-click campaigns. So I do want to say that if somebody's watching this and you own a business and you aren't an agency and you need help with Google Ads and you would love a company like Invisible PPC and Justin's team manage that for you, but deal with me, then you just need to contact me and I will make sure that happens. So as Justin deals with a lot of agencies, I think this is a really great sales tool for somebody using us, knowing that you're going to be the ones fulfilling, which means that we don't have to. And I think it's such a brilliant business model. But if somebody's on the fence, they want to learn a little bit more, or maybe they're an agency that is watching this, because there will be agencies watching this. We have a ticker at the bottom of the screen that always, this is the first time I ever got it right because it goes in reverse. We have a ticker across the bottom of the screen telling you a little bit more about Invisible PPC. 10 plus years in business, over 165 million in ad spend, 6 million conversions, right? And you can go to invisibleppc.com, but how can people just get in touch with you? I have a question for Justin. What do you want them to do?
LinkedIn. Like, I think it's like whatever, like the IN/it's JT Rondeau. Like, just go there. You can find, I think I did finally update my picture to have like a hat I got out of the suit finally. So you'll see me, I'm wearing one of my favorite flamingo shirts. Just hit me up there, shoot me a message. I'm hyper responsive, assuming you're not like just a cold outreach one. Even, I'm kind of responsive to those too. Who am I kidding? I get lonely. So just shoot me a message. And if you have any questions about the service or whether it's a good fit for your agency, or if you're in the brick and mortar space, or are an end client looking for an agency, talk to Jay. But if you're not ready to talk to Jay, talk to me too, because I can tell you like the stuff that you need to be asking your agencies and the things that you need to be looking for when you're working with them.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for all you do. I did put a comment on there. I just put @JT Rondeau on LinkedIn. So people will be able to find you if they search your name. Justin, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a great episode, and I can't wait to see you in San Diego in
it's a couple weeks, man.
2 weeks. Yeah.
I'm so excited.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks and be good. That was awesome. So it was great to have Justin, who's now going to wait backstage so I can chat with him for a few more minutes. But I did want to say, again, I want to reiterate, if you need Google pay-per-click, Google advertising for awareness for your brand, Justin's team is tremendous at what they do. I've been familiar with Invisible PPC since before Justin came in and bought it. They have been around a long time. I've been really familiar. They've been a big player in the space, and for us to partner with them is tremendous. Did have one more comment come back in. Mark, thanks again, buddy. It was great to see you watching. Great info, guys. Nicely done. That was great. If you would like to be a future guest on Meet the Experts. We'd love to have you. Costs you nothing to have your interview done. Tell your story. A lot of people come to us and say, I just want to know how to get my name out there. One is run ads on Google or social media. Two is have that video content. Video is everywhere. Video is everything. And we can give you a full interview like this. And then for there is an option at the end if you'd like. We can also cut it up and give you lots of great social media clips. There's an added charge to that, but it's optional. So love to have you be a guest. All you have to do is go to guests.howto.agency. There's no .com. Guests.howto.agency. I've got it in the ticker at the bottom, and you can always find us at howto.agency. So until our next episode, which I believe is on the 22nd of September, I'm pretty sure is the next episode. So next week. Until then, have a great day, everybody. And we'll see you on the next Meet the Experts. Take care.